Okay, so with arguing in marriage, I know that couples, have their arguments and they argue. Yes, it's a given in marriage. However, constant arguments or when it's, being repeated, it's a sign that it may not be a sign that there are issues between the two of them in that sense. Yes, some issues will lead to arguments. However, sometimes arguments reveal that one party, or maybe the two, but one party is dealing with a lot of things. So let me use myself an example. I remember when we were the early stages in our marriage, about 2 years into our marriage, I realized that I was arguing. I would argue. So when I say argue, so when my husband would bring up an issue, maybe something he doesn't like, I was always quick to want to defend myself, which will lead to arguments. And I realized that, Bimbo, there's something going on with you. Why do you have to argue this through? Why can't you just accept? There were times when I could have just accepted and just moved on. And then I realized that so my argument or my arguing was a result of my needing to heal with regards to some things that I had gone through in the past. I felt that my voice had been silenced for too long. And then I came to my marriage and I was like, no, no, nobody's going to silence me anymore. And I needed to deal with that myself and then, you know, allow for healthy arguments from a place of security.
Welcome to Conversation, a platform where life topics are discussed.
Wow, arguing. Yeah, early years was a lot of back and forth, and as Bimbo said about being defensive, maybe my temperament as a choleric, one of the weaknesses of a choleric is wanting to win. So sometimes you come across as very like a bully, you understand? And when you come with that kind of force, in a bit to drive home a point, of course, it's like attack, and then the other person will have to defend. So that was a challenge we had earlier. So she had to work on the defensiveness, which we talked about. I also had to work on not being like frontal, uh, like that when you are talking. So those are the things we had, and I think this will help a lot of people. Sometimes, not sometimes, an average person, no average person, nobody likes to be wrong, like to feel like I missed it. So it's a challenge we all need to work on. That the feeling of I missed it, I did something wrong, we often see it as complete failure, and nobody wants to feel like they failed. So in a bid to avoid that feeling of failure, we just start defending. It's not like that, it's like that. But that we missed it somewhere does not mean we're a total failure. Because what that does is we end up maybe repeating the same mistakes again and again. So argument in marriage, for me, there can be healthy arguments, there can be unhealthy ones. We are grateful that early in our marriage we had healthy ones. I feel the unhealthy ones come when you start having strange and very abusive words flying all around, because of a matter, very abusive. But if it's on the issue you are dealing with and you are trying to express your own opinion, it's still healthy. But we also have to grow out of that with maturity. For me, as I said in I think some episodes away about listening, sometimes the reason why we had arguments was because I wasn't really listening for the details of what happened or what is happening. So when you're not listening like that, you want to ram home your own opinion or perspective on a matter, and there's no way that will not generate arguments. And if you don't deal with that, it can become abusive. But thankfully, God helped us. We were able to get better. We are far, far, far better. must couples always argue? Must couples always agree? No, 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 no. I don't think so. I think, and that's something, well, I emphasize relationship education. There can't be agreement on everything because we're different. Okay, so we can disagree and not be disagreeable. I don't know whether you understand that phrase. So if you understand that as a human being, then your relationships will be better beyond marriage. We don't have to support the same club in terms of football. We don't have to like the same food, like preference. We don't also have to like the same countries, So if that is basic, then that means there are areas we disagree on, but it shouldn't result into like bullying. I think the word for me is bullying when, because another party does not believe in a particular thing, the other one now begins to like oppress the person into agreeing. Now, there are some salient things that should be agreed on that helps any marriage, any relationship to thrive. Maybe the church they attend, so they feed from the same source. Maybe agreement on how to train up their children so that kids don't divide them. So there's some salient areas of agreement, but there's some other areas where I think maturity should help each other to overlook them. Yeah, very important. Because I've seen cases whereby the reason for division is just because the other person does not believe in what the other person believes in. It becomes, a point for argument. Now, for husband and wife, the dynamics can be a bit different. If, for instance, a wife does not agree with certain things, maybe it might appear like I'm talking from the male-dominated culture that we have, but also maybe from a bit of social dynamics. If a wife does not agree with certain things, the way she postures it matters a lot. Sometimes it moves from the matter to attitude. Why is it that when I bring up something, the first thing is no? Or, the person feels, why are you always countering everything I say? And then that can block communication. The person might not even be willing to always talk to the partner about things anymore because it's like everything I bring up, you don't agree with it. So even if you don't agree with something, there is a friendly, honorable, loving way that the person even loves your disagreement. In fact, can even move to your own side. But if it comes from it's not like that. Before the person explains, you're already countering it. It's beyond not agreeing. It now looks like this person is not really on my side. And nobody wants to feel like you're not on my side, kind of thing. So.
I guess the introverts, I don't know. So some it can be to the extreme. However, a lot of things affect the way we express ourselves, even when we are arguing. Um, Introverts would pay attention to facts. You said this. This is what you said. And an extrovert would almost have forgotten what was even said in the first place. So, yeah, personality types would weigh on how arguments play out with, couples. I'm an introvert and I'm big on you said, and I know that even with apart from marriage, with relationships, friends, and I get a lot of I said. So I guess to each person, everybody has reasons why you should have overlooked this. For an introvert would have overlooked, I'm a melancholy and a sanguine. So there are times when, as a sanguine, I'm like, I've already forgotten. And you're bringing, things that I've forgotten or things that played out, many, many years ago. So I guess there are things that are important to each person. So when a person, maybe a partner or a spouse, maybe the husband or wife is repeating or emphasizing something that the other person thinks, this is something small, this is something trivial. Let's not be quick to say, this is trivial. Why are we arguing about toothbrush? Why are we arguing about toothpaste? to the person, it's factual, it's something valid. So I think we shouldn't play down on what the other person is saying is affecting them. So if it's someone, people argue about toothpaste, that you should press from the middle, you shouldn't press from the top, you should press from the bottom. And initially I used to think that, why would couples argue about toothpaste? For the love of me, buy two toothpaste. One person use the word, the other person use the other. However, sometimes it just tries, when the person is stressing on, don't press, don't press, don't press. Listen, ask again. Okay, why are you saying this? Maybe it's an experience they had from childhood. Maybe if someone, a spouse that wants to clarify, fact check everything that the other person is saying, it could be an experience that person has had from childhood or something in school and is playing out. So I guess each person would know. I think we should take each other's expressions serious, no matter how little we think it is. Let's take it serious, laugh over it if possible, but talk about it to know the extent at which, where it's coming from. Is this something really deep, or is just something that you can just laugh over?
Like, is it possible to sacrifice the need to be right for peace? Kind of. Well, I think it depends on, like Bimbo said about the basis of relationships. Um, you use the word sacrifice, but I'm looking at it from the love tank thing. Okay. I learned something from TD Jakes, and it says for any relationship to thrive well, it should be a win-win. Win-win, right? That if you're always winning and the other person is losing, that's a problem. If the other person is always winning and you are losing, and that's what we're trying to say here, that okay, for the sake of peace, I choose to lose, right? Let the person win. You might be accepting the loss. It's going to take a toll on you. One day, you're just going to like blot out. And lose is not so good. And that's why we should avoid taking each other for granted as much as possible and understand the needs of each person. Even when somebody is sacrificing their need to be right for the sake of peace, the other person needs to realize that somebody is making a sacrifice here. Because if the sacrifice continues, one day there will not be anything to sacrifice again, and then the relationship drops. And that's why when it comes to people getting married, it's important that the foundation is good in terms of friendship, educational compatibility. Because you can't be sacrificing every time. Oh, he forgot or she forgot. Or it's not like that, it's not like that. And then it keeps happening. One day you realize that your tank is like your car. You're managing it, the fuel is low. But what if the fuel now gets to a level where the car cannot move anymore? So I don't think one can live on that. But you can start with that. There must be a point where it's called crucial conversations, where the two parties need to sit down and talk about it so that the sacrifice will not become the norm in the relationship. Because if it continues like that, something will break one day.
Win-win in a relationship. I think couples would fare better if they realize that when both parties win, it is our win, a collective win, not just I won, my husband won. We need to realize that the argument or the trying to resolve issues is for the benefit of the marriage, of the union, of the team. Because sometimes we feel we are fighting each other or competing against each other. And sometimes if you win, you feel, that's, oh, I won my husband or I won my wife. However, when it's okay, even if it's win-win, let's say that sometimes you can both win and both leave thinking, I won. The wife said, feels I won, and is still detached. However, when we are seeing each other as, even when we argue or we have to resolve, The long at the bottom or the long run out of it is we want to be better. We are trying to resolve an issue, not trying to make the other person feel bad. However, in a situation where someone has been feeling bad for a while, then they want to win at all costs. So we need to realize that we are a team. As a couple, whatever it is that is being resolved is for the benefit of the two, benefit of the family. So when someone is winning or someone, it looks like, okay, I won this argument, the person that lost in court shouldn't feel bad in that sense. Rather, even if maybe I won my husband in the sense that my husband had to apologize about something, there should be a way. The scenario should rather be we both apologize, even though it's like the fact that I presented were more, you know, better in that sense, were better than what my spouse or my husband presented. It should be that at the end of the day, even if you had better facts or your arguments were better, still apologize about something. At least you said something that upset the other person or the other person didn't like. Still apologize about that, and so that everybody ends up feeling whole at the end of the day.